Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome back to my second live. Um, welcome back. Slim Hafa, True Crime Time. I'm just waiting for my friend to join on, and we can start discussing yesterday's events on, you know, the West trial. I'm just gonna give it a few. Mm-mm. Good morning. Okay, I can see people jumping on now. I'm just waiting a little bit for my friend to jump on, Sarah, and then we can start the discussion. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, yesterday was a long day. I could tell you that. If you were listening to the trial, you were there all day, because I know I was. I think in New York time we finished around 7 o'clock. So yeah. Okay, I think we have Sarah. Yes, let's add Sarah on. Hey, good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
I
Oh,
was just talking about
what
how
a
long the
day.
trial was yesterday.
I know. I missed the end of it. I know you got it though. And
Yeah,
I caught up a little bit on Twitter, but oh wow. What a very intense day.
yes, yes.
Yeah. A lot was going on. And that's one thing I was gonna say is like, you know how everybody was pressuring the police, you're not doing enough, you're not doing anything, you're not this. And I knew back then, I was like, it looks like they're not, but they are. And to see the way they interrogated them, I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
They were
I
ripping
didn't
them
think they were
up.
interrogating them like that. They were acting
They
like they
were.
weren't.
Well, because they have to for the integrity of the case, in case
Right.
they don't want to scare anybody off, any witnesses, or they do want to get them to talk, so that's how
Right.
they do that. But I was like, yeah, they were ripping them apart. Like that was crazy. Trezell was like backed into a corner. He didn't feel comfortable anymore. He's like, "Are we done here?"
Yes,
He's like, "Are you done
he
with me? Are
did.
you done with my wife?"
Yes.
I was like,
I have
"Wow, really?
I
Like,
have an
suck it
article
up a
that
little bit.
Carla,
You have two kids missing."
right, exactly. I have an article
He
that
didn't.
Carla sent to me, and it's like basically a sums up everything that happened yesterday um
Okay.
from KGET, the news station.
Hmm.
Um Shout out to Carla, sent me this. Um
Yeah.
Okay, it says for more than an hour, Trezell West spoke calmly, laughing at times, as he gave law enforcement details of his life with his wife and their six children leading up to the disappearance of their two youngest. He broke down the events on December 21st, 2020, the day he reported Oren, 4 years old, Arson, 3 years old, missing from the backyard of the family's California City home. Then the interview, a recording of which was played in the court yet Wednesday, takes a sharp turn. It was conducted with several law enforcement officers just days after the West reported the children missing. You have not been honest, an officer says. He tells West officers have been he tells West officers have been spoken to his other children and their stories match. They haven't seen Oren and Arson in weeks. He says the boys were never at the home the day the West said they disappeared. You know where they're at, the officer tells the West. You haven't seen, you haven't even shed a tear. Trezell West repeatedly denies lying, eventually asking if he's under arrest or free to go. He's told he can leave. I'm done with this, West says. The majority of the nearly 2-hour video was played Wednesday, the second day of Trezell and Jacqueline West's trial on charges including second-degree murder in the deaths of Oren and arson. The remaining 10 minutes will be played when court resumes today, Thursday.
Yeah, and the part where he panicked when he found out they were questioning the kids. I didn't give you permission
Right,
to question my kids. And the officer's
right.
like, I don't need permission to question your kids. And
No.
there was also another, I don't know if that was the part where the officer was like, the FBI is involved, and if they ask us to do something, we do it. I think that was the part.
Mm.
And he was like, oh, okay. Like he can't, you can't argue
You
with
can't
that.
fight that.
So yeah, but yeah, how uncomfortable he got when he found out they spoke with the children. And that's because
Yeah,
he was letting them know all four children have the same exact story. They were sleeping when we got there. We woke them up one by one. So there was no reason for them to overhear each other to have the same story. Like they literally each had the same exact story.
right, right. Their
So,
stories added up.
and I know we haven't even touched the surface, and I am like, I don't know if I'm ready to hear like what all they have because so far it's been so sickening.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's
Yeah,
disturbing.
like when the detective kept telling him, "Look, now's your time. If something happened, just tell us where they are. You know where they are." No, 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 no. Like he was like freaking out. He's like, "No, no, no." He's like, "I don't know where they are." And
Yeah, he's
yeah,
trying to convince himself.
yes, yes, yes. Like his conscience wants to kick in and say, and he's telling himself, "No, no, 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 no. Don't fall for this." You know what I mean? That's what I got.
Right. Yeah, I got that
Oh.
too.
You know what I did like? I mean, they really did do a thorough investigation. The measuring. Remember when they went out there
Hmm.
with that roller thing and we were all like, what are they doing or whatever? They were
Yeah.
measuring the distance from the gate to the front yard and then from the house to the neighbor's wall and then the height of the gate to match up with the surveillance camera across the street. I'm like, wow, they really did do a thorough job there. I like to hear
They
that
did. They
because
did. They
especially we
did
all
their
were kind of
job.
like, well, what are they doing? And that don't make sense. And they're not really looking, the public is. And man, they were really working behind the scenes though, weren't they?
They did. But they had to work extra hard because in the beginning they didn't do their job right.
Yeah, there was some things I say that they didn't do right, yeah. But they knew something was wrong and off, like from jump. And I think they were trying to figure out how to handle it. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. I
So
agree.
but the one part I noticed about Jacqueline's statements to the police, and people do this when they're lying or when they need pause in their brain to come up with some more deception, as she was giving them
Hmm.
extra info they didn't need or were not asking for. They did ask her what she was doing at the time the boys went missing. She said wrapping
Right.
presents, cooking, and she fed the cat. So she goes, so I fed the cat, I was wrapping presents. Oh, and the soup burned, she says. Okay, that's all
The soup burnt.
total signs of deception. Nobody asked if the soup damn burned. Like nobody needs to know that. It has nothing to do with these boys missing. Her feeding the cat, nothing to do with them missing. Like when they asked you, what were you doing when them boys went missing? You were wrapping presents, period, supposedly. You weren't still
Hmm.
feeding the cat. The soup may be burning, but you weren't still feeding the cat. Like, okay, so I watch these videos a lot where it shows um, deception and how to like during these interrogations, and they
Yeah.
explain how it's deception and how they'll pause or throw out
Right.
extra information to buy themselves some time to think of something else real quick. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so that was, oh, a lot with hers. A lot with hers. Like there was all this extra added information, like the soup burned. I'm like, huh? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like,
That she
and then
shouldn't be
she said they
concerned
were
about the soup. Like nobody cares about
right. They
that.
don't
It's
care
about the
about the
boys.
soup. Yeah. Yeah. And then she said they they kept asking her about the chalk, and she goes, yeah, they were playing with chalk and balls. And I'm like, okay. Um, they were saying Trezell was like when he was like asked if um he kept changing his story. Like, okay, so tell us
Right.
what happened. He's like, okay, I went inside and then I didn't hear them anymore, so I knew something was wrong. So I went outside to look and they were gone. But then a few minutes later, he was saying that he was headed back outside and didn't see them, and the gate was open. And then he just kept changing it just slightly enough for them to know this isn't normal, like something's off here.
Right.
Um, and the fact that they
He
decompartmentalized the kids, that was sad to hear. They don't they were saying the boys didn't get along with the other kids, so they had to keep them separate because they were rambunctious.
no,
But that they were allowed
they
to play
haven't
with each
trained.
other.
That's what happened. They haven't trained Oren and Arson right. Well, Sincere and
Right.
Classic, they haven't got a chance to train them like the other boys, where they don't make a peep or a sound. Because apparently, even the neighbors don't even know they're around. That's how well they behave. Like they don't
Yeah.
even act like children.
They're
So
they're probably
he wanted
scared.
Oren and Arson, Sincere and Classic, to be just like that. And since they weren't like that, and they were probably making noise and being children,
Right.
he didn't like
Right.
it. They're bunctuous. They're just they're in the way.
Another part that made me sick to my stomach was knowing the boys weren't there for Christmas and her saying that, yeah, these are their stockings. All the kids picked out their own stockings. But the two stockings
So,
she's saying that were or classic and sinceres were not like the other kids's. The other kids's were all like like character, like,
mhm.
cartoon character, movie characters or whatever. And the other two that they're saying were classic and sinceres were like a gingerbread man and like I don't remember what the other one was exactly. So they weren't for the kids. They were somebody made a comment that they were probably Trezell and Jacqueline's stockings. And that could
They
be,
probably
a
were.
lot of people, I do adult and children's stockings, so I kind of understood that comment.
Yeah, I do the thing.
I
So
cringed when I
yeah,
find out
everybody gets
found out
that.
their when I found out their wedding day. I cringed because it's my wedding anniversary. Ugh. Now I'll think about that every wedding anniversary, girl. Every single one. I'm gonna be like, oh my God, it's Jacqueline and Trezell's wedding anniversary too. Hmm.
What a day.
Oh my God, Jesus. I had to share that with them. Ugh. But
Yeah.
okay, Jacqueline was asked how the kids were punished if they were in trouble. She said they
Hmm.
weren't allowed to play. He goes, what do you mean they weren't allowed to play? Well, no toys, she said, no toys, no TV, but they could read books or do extra schoolwork. The schoolwork contained of K-12 for the older kids, and the younger kids were on the abcmouse.com. And then she had some app on her phone where they could do extra schoolwork if they were in trouble for a punishment. First of all, it, that's sad because you do not want kids to think schoolwork is a punishment. Like they ain't never gonna
Yeah,
want
you
to
want
do
them
it.
to learn
You know,
happy.
yeah, you don't
You want
never
them to
do
be
that.
happy.
Yep, yep. And I wonder too, when they went to the next day to question the kids at Wanda's, I wonder if she was able to overhear what all the kids were saying, or if they removed her from like the space so they had private privacy with the kids. But it was at the kitchen table. That's the only thing I heard.
Um,
And they went early in the morning, caught them while they were sleeping, woke them up one by one so they wouldn't like it, like You know what I mean? So it wouldn't be chaotic, and they would do it the proper way. I like the way they did that, honestly. At first, I was like, wow, they went and woke
Right.
them up. They might not be thinking straight, kind of out of it. But then
Right.
the more I thought of it, I'm like, what better than to grab them when they're fresh and off guard, so that they will tell
Yeah.
just the truth, not what they were. So, oh, and then the part about the officer confronting Trezell, because they were still able to talk to their kids, remember? When they first got taken
Yeah.
away, they were still able to keep in touch with them. And I guess Trezell kept telling the kids, you're coming home soon, you're coming home soon. And then Jacqueline kept telling them, you don't have to talk to nobody. You don't have to say
Yeah.
anything. So that's where
Yeah.
this whole threatening thing is going to come in, because that was their way of threatening the kids without saying, say something or
Oh,
else,
so
or yeah, and they were
that's
scaring them
threatening.
like, you're still coming home. Don't forget. Like, in other words, don't talk. Don't forget you're still coming back to us. Trezell denied to the
Uh,
officer that he was telling them that. He goes, I never told them they were coming home. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going on or whatever. So he even denied
uh,
telling them that. But why would the kids tell the officers, yeah, my dad, he's telling us we're coming back home? They were scared. They wanted to make sure they were in the clear.
right.
Sorry, I still have a
Ooh.
cough. I have to mute every here and there. Oh, and then they asked them where they had Thanksgiving, and she said in Cal City.
Hey,
And they also
Carla.
asked
Carla
about
C.
her mom. Remember yesterday we were talking about her mom real quick about the kids and not seeing them very much. So
Yeah.
Jacqueline in her interview did say that they were asking her, your mom lives right next door. Why wasn't you guys seeing her that much? She's like, well, after she moved and stuff, like she would like me to come over there and I would just go without the kids, and it was too far for her to drive to Cal City to come see us, and she just came up with all these weird excuses. But oh,
Yeah.
they were
She
asked if
just
they had
had
much.
for
When I just real quick, because I know the trial's going to start here little in about 30 minutes. So I just wanted to get a
it.
few things out real fast. And then so this one was, they were asked, Jacqueline was asked if they were having money issues. And she's like, well, kind of, yeah. We haven't been selling a lot lately. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? And she goes, well, I do art and he does music, and we haven't really been doing anything, or selling anything. And he's like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then like a few minutes later, they touch on that again. And she's like, well, no, we didn't have money issues. She kind of changed it up a little. And she said, we just weren't making as much income as what we could have been because we didn't have the extra income coming in. She said, but they were getting $800 per adopted child. And she was concerned about the media. She wanted, and the other children. I have other children. I'm really concerned about the media harassing us. And the officer said, well, we can't stop them. Um, just keep to yourself if they're bothering you. She's like, oh, okay. Like, she was trying to get rid of the media and everybody. She thought, I can just say something to the cop and they'll be told not to come to our house anymore. But that's not the way that went down. She wasn't very happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
hmm So I think that was the things that stuck out to me the most. Um, Going through my notes real quick to see if there's anything. Oh, yeah, yeah. And then when they were asking the officer, well, how would you question the children? Because they're
Right.
juveniles. And he says we have a form. Remember, do you heard that part? They they fill out a form and they ask the questions that are on the form. And they start with, do you understand right from wrong and good and bad? And then depending on how they
Yeah.
answer the questions, they move forward with the rest of it and fill out the form. If they answer no, I don't, or I'm not sure, then he says then we don't continue with the questioning. So it's almost like when you get read your rights and then you agree and then you go on to your questioning. So they have a way of doing it with the kids by starting off with, do you know right from wrong and such. So I thought that was kind of good to hear that they do it a certain way, you know, so that they're not like the defense can't say, well, you put words in their mouth and you asked them this and you no, they didn't do that. What they did was they asked them the questions on the form, made sure they were fit to even be questioned. Then they said,
Mm-hmm.
when's the last time you seen the boys? And they just stuck to basic questions like that. They didn't like insert any information for the kids to say yes or no to. So I'm glad that they did that
Mm,
right. Because that right there would have messed up everything. Because I think that
right.
most of this trial is going to be based on the kids' statement.
Yeah, I think so. I think the statement from the oldest child is the main evidence.
I think that's what got the ball really rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little chilly out here today. I'm outside on the porch. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Oh
it's
yes,
freezing.
yeah, it's a cold
But
day today.
I'm like, I hear my voice like cracking and shivering and shaking. I'm freezing. Sorry, y'all. Um, oh, and then the officer's like, so you're Trezell. So you're what you're saying happened on Saturday and on Monday is different from what your wife is saying. He called him straight out with
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And he was like, you could tell he kind of sounded like, did she, like he sounded
Mm-hmm.
worried. And but then he still stuck to his story, you know. And I like how
The
the cop
officer
was
was just
like,
like,
yeah,
you have
when
no
he brought
emotion.
up the black
No.
boys, don't go there. Don't go there with that. The officer says, we're not going there. But he kept going there,
Right.
you know?
He's like,
Yeah.
we're not doing that over here.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, man, I really liked the way they interrogated him. But they just were not gonna sway. They just weren't. They're not gonna ever, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
Um,
I don't know
and then,
how what they did to those kids
huh.
that I don't know what they did to those boys that there's no proof of nothing that they did unless
Well, they
there's
had
only
so much
witnesses.
time to get rid of it. And they were already so
Yeah.
secretive and closed off and protective and what do you want to call it? Like isolated. They already had isolated their family because of the way they were raising those kids. So they had like,
Yeah.
all this just nobody would notice this. We could do it this way. We could do this and that and like nobody would know. Like they literally had the advantage. And so that's why they took that route. Because if it was an accident, like their defense attorney slipped and said the first day, then, why not just call for help? Like
Hmm.
if you call for help and it was an accident, so I don't know what had happened, but I don't feel like it was an accident. I feel like it was something to do with neglect. I wonder
Yeah.
how he got sick. Like, hmm, man, I don't know. But there was a lot. If also anyone who's like on here, if you guys remember anything we didn't say or touch on, bring it up in the
Yeah.
chat.
We could talk
Because
about
I
it real
missed
quick.
quite a bit yesterday. I'm like I was on
Is
and
that,
off, on and off. I had a lot going on.
yeah, he talked about wanting to protect his all six of his kids, because two are missing. Uh he has to protect the four of them because they're gonna suffer from this event. And
Yeah.
it's just like, what? What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
like you're the
You
you're
gotta
the
you.
ones.
I mean, sincere and classic. You should have protected them. Like
Uh-huh.
they were the toddlers that weren't being treated well.
Yeah,
They treated the other
yeah.
kids.
Like kings. Oh, and that was another thing when they were discussing the adoption of all boys. Did you hear
Hmm.
Trezell's explanation of why they didn't get a girl? Because
I
they can be more difficult and have more issues, especially coming from, like, when you adopt a child, obviously they came from a bad home, supposedly, in most cases, yes, not all. He's like, so with what they go through before we get them, we know that with girls, they can have more pro issues and it can just be a lot harder. And so that's why they chose boys. I thought that was odd. And then
They're
when the
like boys are
officer
easy.
was right, and the officer was
Okay.
trying to give him a few outlets, like, do you think, the bio family would have could have came and took him? Do you think that he's like, no, I don't see how they would have the means to find us or to even come take him like that, especially, da 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 da. So that I showed a little bit of conscience, like he felt bad about what happened. And remember in the interview
Yeah.
outside the house how they were he was apologizing to the bio mom and the aunt. She didn't really, she kind of told him off. This is why we didn't want to come out here and do this because of them, because of the bio family and da 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 da. But Trezell was apologizing to them, remember?
Yeah. Hey,
Our boys,
little.
I'm sorry. So when the cop kind of implied, do you think maybe they came and took him? He absolutely shut that down immediately. So I was like, oh, okay, well, he has a little bit of a conscience there. That's why I think if anybody was to take a deal or say anything, it would be him. But I think he's going to try and ride this out, to be honest. And they were more worried about the dogs getting out the gate than the boys. Remember?
Yeah.
That
Focused
was
on
what
the
the cop was
dogs. Like,
upset about. Yeah.
gate open. We don't leave the gate open because the dogs could run out. Like that's their
Yeah.
main focus. Like,
Like they weren't worried about leaving a 3 and a 4-year old out there and then maybe getting out because they don't know how to open the gate. Okay, well the dog does. Like, are you kidding me right now? That don't even make sense. And then his theory,
and
Trezell's theory was he assumed that they had went out the gate, but then doesn't know how they would go out the gate because they don't know how to open it. And then he starts to feel the pressure from the interrogation and tells the cops that they need to go out and do their job and figure out what happened and find his voice, trying to shut down the interrogation. I'm
that's
like,
kind of
wow,
bossy.
yes. And then
Like,
the officers did say on the surveillance footage on that street that day that the boys were reported missing, the only activity on that street was there was a man walking his dog around 4 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. That was like hours before this all happened. And then nothing until you see Trezell's van leave. And then Trezell kept saying, no, I did go to looking for them and I did talk to my neighbors. And they're like, no, you didn't. And he's like, I did. Take me to their house. Take me to the guy's house. I'll show you the guy I talked to and ask him if he saw my boys when that night when I was driving around looking around. And the officer goes, I'm not taking you in over there. He goes, there's only one place I'm taking you if I take you anywhere. I was like, that's right. They just weren't having it. They weren't buying it and they were getting upset that they weren't gonna budge, nothing. So then like here we are now because they wouldn't budge and just give it up. If you have any kind of heart and soul left in you, if it was an accident, truly, like you're kind of implying, even though you're saying nothing happened to them, you're still setting the stage for an accident or a rambunctious child or my kids don't get along with them type thing. So you're ready to point fingers at your own kids that you're trying to protect so much from the media and everything, but yet you won't even just say, okay, you know what, there was an accident, nothing. I'm
Trezells
still
like,
going
these
through
are
my
my
notes.
boys. He said he cares about them even though they're not his biological children.
Uh-huh. And like we all assumed
No.
this with the surveillance camera, the van did block the view of the front door. So like the detective told Trezell, we don't know if they left out that front door with anybody because we can't see because the van. So if they did leave out that front door, they would have had to have gone in the van. Like, you know what I mean? He was trying to use reasoning and logic with them, you know? Like, does this make sense? No, it doesn't. But they were like, oh, okay, okay. And that was buying themselves time to think too. Trezell kept like,
Mm-hmm.
at first, every now and then he'd like, oh, okay, when they would tell him, there was no footprints. Oh, okay, okay. And we don't think someone, walked up and took them out of the yard. And he's like, okay, okay. Well, then what the fuck happened to my boys? And he's like, then he starts switching it to that again. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
he gets all.
wow.
It's like, yeah, he's basically like, well, you need to do your job and find my boys. Like, and it's just like,
Yeah.
no, you
Why you
just
here questioning me? Like,
yeah, and it's not even no. We know you did something. There's no trace of these boys in your house. Like, there's no way.
yeah. Oh, and then she was asked when's the last time she talked to her mother, Jacqueline. And Jacqueline said that she had talked to her the Saturday right before that. So right before they reported the boys missing. And he's like, well, what did you guys talk about? And she's like, oh, not much. We just talked. And then we talked about a friend who had won the lottery twice. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, oh, I cringe listening to those interrogations. But like I said, it reassured me
Right.
they were really tearing into them, doing what we all were hoping they were doing.
Yeah, that's true. The Aspen home, the lady behind them said she never saw the children. That's right, Mary. That neighbor has
Yes.
never saw any children, and she has a window that goes right into their. I think it's their backyard or her kitchen window. She said it faces like right to their house, and she's
Remember the
always looking
neighbor
at their
at,
house.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Remember the neighbor at the apartments was saying that they may have saw the kids just a few times in the window, like trying to talk to kids outside because they weren't allowed outside. But other than that, they
Oh
weren't really
yeah,
seen. Yeah.
they used to see
So they weren't
the window.
weren't really seen after that, and not even to like come and go for doctor's appointments in the van or anything. So they were just kind of once COVID hit, he really went into coop them up mode, you know?
But probably like really unkept, really skinny. They didn't want nobody to see them, so that's probably why they had them in the window. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't
Yes.
go out or anything.
Yeah, this
It's
is one of those
sad.
cases, sadly, that COVID actually assisted with what was already happening and made it worse. It helped with the
Yeah,
covering up of things,
yeah,
but it also cooped them up more and
right.
made things just like more aggravated in the house. Like, it's like if the kids are
Damn, that's
rambunctious and you need a break from them, bring them to Wanda, bring them to your mama, to Maria, But no, it was like almost like nobody could handle them except for us. They were young, they stayed with us, you know?
yeah. They put us. We had to discipline them probably.
Yeah. Okay. So we have 15 minutes
Okay.
and then it's going to be a long day, I'm sure. Now, tomorrow, I'll let you know tonight or in the morning if I can do the recap with you. We might have to do it a little bit late after the trial already starts because my my oldest son has to go to the school for testing So I gotta like,
Okay.
wake up and just make his lunch and get his snack and bag packed, and it's gonna be a busy morning.
Okay.
So
It's
we'll
fine.
figure out the
It,
timeline on that. Yeah. If there's anything
yeah, we'll
like I
probably
really feel we need to touch
go on
on,
that.
we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that
If
sounds
it's
good.
like
We can
if
go.
there's nothing that really sticks out that we don't want to address, then maybe we could do it just like later, or later on in the evening, like at the end of the day instead, since it's Friday night, tomorrow. So we'll figure it out
Right.
whether we do it in the morning or evening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they were asked, when did you guys get new phones? Oh, we just got new phones this month, she said. So they had literally
Yeah.
just replaced their phones. So I don't know where the old ones went. That I didn't hear anything about, right? But then,
Yeah, how they get phones? Like, it's not like one of them
yeah.
broke and they had to get one. They actually
Well,
replaced both of their phones.
she said they were due for an upgrade. Okay. And because they were asked. And then they said, do you mind if we take your phones and look through them just to tie off all ends? And she's like, no, I don't mind at all. Go ahead. And she's like, look through them all you want. And then she was like, wait, she goes, but you're not trying to take them, right? Like you just want to look through it real quick, right? He's like, no, we want to take them for a minute and then we'll give them back when we're done. And she's like, oh, well, no, because that's how I get a hold of my son. Like that's how I get a hold of my kids. And I'm going to need my phone.
Yeah.
Can't you? You could just look through it real quick. Go ahead, look through my phone all you want, but I'm going to need it back. She knew that if they took that phone away from her being right there and like longer than just an 30-minute let me look through your phone real quick thing, that they were going to find stuff that she had gotten rid of on it. I don't think they ever really got a
Yeah.
chance to do things with those phones they should have. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm
I don't
sure
know. The way they
I'm sure
interrogated them, found out some stuff on those phones
yeah,
because
that's
they
true
took the
too,
laptop,
because they did say that they
tablet.
could track their travels that through their phones.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have access to their old phones too, I think. And see, they don't even really
Maybe.
need your phone. They'll take a warrant to the phone store and that's it. They could pull up everything as if they have your phone. Actually, it's even better, I think. So, I mean, her keeping that phone from them. Remember, she told everyone they took tech. They just took our phones and our tech, and we don't have any
Yeah, and
phones right now, so we can't really be doing much but sitting here. And there was all those excuses about being told to stay put, and plus that we
yeah,
don't have our
but
phones right now.
in reality, they didn't let them take their phones,
Exactly.
so
So
they
I
had
don't
their
know.
phones.
I would say I don't know the conclusion. I don't know if they just looked through their phones or if they actually took them because I didn't hear the end of that. Like
I don't.
I know she was telling
I,
them
I,
no.
I thought the FBI were able to just take your phone from you, like without no permission or anything.
Well, the thing is that the FBI wasn't physically there. The police will ask them for the assistance, and then they will give them tools to use and directions and like do this, ask this, find out that, get this. And so then they do it or whatever like that. So I don't think the FBI actually physically ever went to that home. Not at the
Mm,
beginning anyway. Not at the beginning anyway. But so like I said, I don't know the outcome of that, whether they got their phones taken or not, because she was saying no. She wasn't given permission. And they also, I guess they both denied to take a lie detector.
mm. Yeah,
That's
I
fishy.
remember like lie detectors, but the officer told us that he wasn't allowed to say if they took it or not, but he did say that they were what do you say? How do you say that they were doing what they were supposed to do, basically
Yes. Yeah.
complying.
Yeah.
So, oh, I guess I thought they took it. I thought they took The lie test. If they said they were
I,
complying, but
I think that
I don't
they were
know.
able to take certain tech. I don't think she was giving up her phone. If they might have gotten it out of her, they might have told her, look, you have no choice. We need it for at least 24 hours real quick just to, but I didn't hear the outcome of that part.
Mm.
So I don't know. So there was money issues, but then there wasn't because they were getting 800 per kid, so they had that to live off of, but they just weren't doing their extra monies. Oh, and about them fighting. Do you guys get in fights? Do you have issues in your marriage? Oh no, just the normal disagreements, no fight, no fighting. Like, okay, so um
Hey, everybody in the chat. I see you.
yeah, I
Um,
I like to read the chat, but my phone is being weird, so
the live did not start. The live audio from the trial did not start yet. If anybody has the trial link,
8 minutes.
uh, post it in the chat if you can. It starts in 8 minutes, so we got 8 minutes. Um,
And then Trezell said something weird about a jump start kit and using that to look through the neighborhood because it was dark or something. I could barely hear that
oh,
part.
Mary says they did the stimulus checks that they got for each
Oh
child. Ooh,
yeah, that
they
too. Yeah.
paid.
I
They
think
got
that's how they were
paid.
able to move. I think that's how they were able to do the move. Like everything just worked out in their favor, sadly.
Mm,
The timing of COVID, the checks, the already being what do you call it? Um uh, like already being confined away from people. Like and then COVID and having to confine from people, like everything worked in their favor, sadly.
and that's why they're so confident that they think they're gonna win this. They think
Yeah.
the the officers didn't do their job right. Everything's just like working
So
out in their favor.
they said the worst they thought could have happened is that they were walking down the street. And then when Trezell was told that there was no footprint and that their scent never left the immediate inside the house and the van area, that it wasn't in the yard, it was nowhere around. Oh, hell no. You're telling me my kids got fucking kidnapped? He flipped the fuck out as if that was never a thought. That would have been my first thought. Is my boys
Exactly.
wandered off and then got kidnapped if there was no car that pulled up and there's no footprints? Like, it's like they were plucked out of thin air? No, I don't think so.
He, he was
He just
acting.
thought
That
they
was
wandered
acting.
off. Yeah,
That was
that
acting. Oh,
that was
so you're telling me
crazy.
the kids that? Like,
Yeah,
no, that didn't cross your mind. Like,
yeah,
come on.
yeah.
No,
And and then the dogs were outside, and when he noticed the gate open, he was worried the dogs had gotten out. But wait a minute. I thought you were already worried because you didn't hear the kids and they were quiet and they were nowhere around in the backyard, but they could have been in the house, he said. So, they asked if the dogs were barking, and he goes, "Oh, they're always barking," and he starts laughing like it's funny and nonchalant.
it's funny. You're laughing. Your kids are missing, and you're joking. Like, what is so
Yeah.
fucking funny? There should be nothing you
Well,
laugh about. You shouldn't even, like,
they do that
be
when they
happy
try to
about.
calm them. They do that when they get nervous and they need to calm down because they're getting, overly nervous and they don't want to slip up. So they'll do the nervous giggles or they'll touch their face or they'll fidget, and then or
Right.
they'll insert extra information that wasn't needed, like the soup burning. Um,
Yeah.
and then
Make
they were
sure we don't
asked,
care about.
when's the last time all 6 kids were together? It was at Wanda's house. 'It was at Wanda's house. 'It was at Wanda's house. When's the last time all 6 kids were together? It was at Wanda's house. 'It 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 is what they said.
Oh,
But that they didn't leave the two. They took the two home with them, but they dropped off the four to her.
so that's why they say Wanda was the last person to see them.
I think so.
Mm.
So then he says, I knew they were gone because I stopped hearing noises. So I went back outside and didn't see them because he was in there throwing wood inside the fireplace. And he didn't see his wife when he went inside, he said. He said he went out back outside and it dawned on him that the kids weren't there. So that changed. First you knew they couldn't that they were gone because you didn't hear them no more, so you ran outside looking. But then it changes to I went outside and it dawned on me that they weren't there. I didn't see them, and that's what brought him back inside to ask his wife, "Hey, have you seen the boys?" Um, he says he walked in there, came back out, and they were gone. That was his third explanation of how he noticed they were missing. Like he kept changing it just slightly a little bit here and there. He goes, he
Yeah,
didn't hear anything, so he knew they weren't there.
yeah. He kept
So
having
those
little
were the
inconsistencies.
inconsistencies I noticed. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Wanda's a liar, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, I believe you.
I
I
agree,
definitely agree.
100%. The whole family, I think. And they're probably the type of family to stick together and help cover up for each other.
Oh, CC Cologne says they say he beat one of the, I guess, kids at Wanda's driveway. Peed on himself. Not sure what boy. Wow. I don't know where that came from. Information. I heard that before, but
Yeah.
that's true. Oh, I want to know about the sawdust that they found in the garbage can in
Yes,
the
I was
beginning.
thinking about that too.
Supposedly there was blood there too. I don't know.
And the empty
They
bottles
haven't
of
mentioned
alcohol.
that in the Pampers in the garbage. They didn't say, "Oh yeah, there was a sawdust too." They didn't say anything like that. So
In fact,
I
they
don't
said
know.
they couldn't find anything that belonged to the boys in the house. Nothing. Nothing. The
Oh
officer said
wow.
they could not locate any belongings of those boys in that house. So they had gotten rid of everything, which is strange to me. Like they had to have had something though. Like, but majority of their stuff was gone. They had to have something to at least get the scent.
Yeah.
And they said, and I believe they were really given their stuff because the scent didn't leave the house or the van. It was never in the yard. And the other kids were obviously outside drawing with chalk at one point because there was drawings. Of
Mhm.
course, the adults could have done that, you know,
Yeah, they could have did it themselves just to make it look like
just to
it was
make
the
it look,
kids.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. They said, "Can you imagine TW cutting wood and watching the boys?" Never. Well, they said he wasn't. He said he was collecting wood.
And if you
He
remember
wasn't cutting.
correctly, all the YouTubers out there with their videos, those were twigs. They wasn't even, it was more like
Yeah,
kindling, like when you're
yeah.
if you're camping and you just want to get the big wood started, you use these little sticks, you know? There was nothing
I,
really to
I
make a fire with.
I don't have a fireplace. I know nothing about that, but I was told by many people those sticks
Oh,
are not for
yeah.
no.
No, I've had fireplaces, I've been camping, and I just know how that works. Like if if he really threw all those sticks in there to burn, it would burn up in less than 5 minutes. So then you would have to go back out
Mm,
and keep getting it. Like you need
mm,
thick, big wood too. Like, you know what I mean? And then if you have a
yeah,
fireplace, you do not need the little sticks to start the fire. That's like a
right.
camping
Lisa,
deal. Like,
Lisa got
you know?
Lisa got it. Toothbrushes covered in dust.
Whoa.
Did you hear this? Brushes that were supposedly
What?
sincere and classic toothbrush. They found them covered in dust with some type of substance on it that was like a liquid, but it was dried up on it.
Whoa. That's weird.
So these toothbrushes have not been used in so long. Like they were just sitting there in
Wow.
dust.
Wow.
And the kids were homeschooled.
Lisa says Hansen also claimed that there were two toothbrushes supposedly belonging to Oren and Orson West. Oh, you just read that. It just popped up late on my chat. Sorry.
Yeah. Hence,
I'm like, wait, you just literally read that.
the ordinance. However, the toothbrushes were covered. Yep. Yep. That's
And they
sad.
were stuck to the counter with an unknown substance. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I've gone through most of anything of importance in my notes that I jotted down. Um,
One more thing. This Oren cries a lot, and Oren cries when he is left alone. He has anger issues. They're saying Oren had anger issues,
he looks scared in that picture.
and he had
And
issues
you
with.
notice how, like you said, oh, she took a picture through the little crack of the door, like through the cut, like I almost swear, which is weird, that that might even be at the apartment before they moved to that house. I had to be. And it looks like she's in a car taking a picture to the front door of the apartment because you see a side mirror. At least it looks like one. I'm
Mm,
gonna have to go over that picture just a little bit more, but I swear I kept thinking, God, that looks like a car door, a mirror on the side with the window, and then she's sneaking the picture of him or like taking a picture of him at the door. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna look
Look at
at the
that
picture
picture.
again. For me, it seemed like she was like laying on the bed, and she's like looking from in her room, looking out to like a hallway, and the little kid is like in the hallway, scared or something. Like
Yeah,
I
that
don't
could be
know. That's how.
too. Looked like he had his
But
hands
I'm gonna
behind
look at.
his back, like,
Yeah, it looks
just
like he has his hand back. Like kids don't stand like that, and then
no,
his face feature like off. He's sad, scared, or
right.
something.
Yeah. And the words he was using, like the words that Trezell uses, it's like he sounds very intelligent. And I know he has a good background, but the thing, like the departmentalizing them, I thought, wow, that was a really
Mm-hmm.
big word to use, and that was, a strong word to use as well. But yeah, so that's basically what I got from what I listened to yesterday.
Yeah.
It's
If they.
9:05. They already started, just to let y'all know.
Oh.
I just realized what
Oh.
time it was. So
Okay. We're
let
gonna
me see.
go to jump on
Anger
that.
issues. Yeah, right, Lisa? Like, of course they're gonna have anger issues. That's what happened to kids that are being abused. They get
Right. And
emotional
being taken
and anger.
reason, like they got taken away from their mother for no reason. Like just
They
because
were
she took them
happy
to
in
the
those
hospital.
pictures. You see the pictures
Yeah.
when they're
So
with their mom and the aunt, the first one to foster them.
Mm-hmm.
healthy, happy, loved. Like, oh, it breaks my freaking heart to tear kids
So
away from
really quick,
that and put them into
they
this.
asked him, right. Really quick, they asked him, "You and your wife are right to die?" Question mark. And Trezell says that's how he feels. So
Oh,
they're gonna
okay.
ride or die.
I missed that part. That's the feeling I
Mm-hmm.
get. Like they're gonna ride or die this one out. And his family right beside them. They're gonna cover all their own asses now at this point.
Yep.
So the Spanish neighbor at Mary says the Spanish neighbor at Castelloma said that JW's mom said the two little boys were always trying to leave the house. She says, "Geez, I wonder why." Yeah, right. They were always trying to talk to the other kids out the window too. That's sad.
They was trying to escape. That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
That's so bad.
And to think they had a
Okay.
business.
All right. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. I like that.
She's like, "Let's go, let's go." It started. Okay.
Go. It's
The
not
link for the link for the court is in the Slimmy Hoffa Facebook group. There is a post. I'm gonna go
yes.
pin it to the top of the group when we get off of here, so that it's easier to
If it's
find.
in here right now and they're not on my Facebook group, Slim Hoffa, True Crime Time, please go on Facebook and join. You'll see everything. And then
And then,
I'll
like I said,
post
I'll go
the
pin it to the
court.
top.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so that's it. Thank you everybody that came
Yep.
today, supported, watched. Thank you, Sarah. Uh
You're welcome as always.
yeah, we just here to find justice for our boys, Oren and Narson, Sincere and Classic, their real names. Um,
Mary says, I hope they weren't poisoning them. Yeah. I don't know why I have this feeling because the way the kids described Orson being sick as if he got into something maybe. Or they were giving him something to calm him down maybe, but it wasn't prescribed and they didn't do it right. Something. They,
right.
but then again, kids
And
can get sick from being beaten too. They could have something could have happened in his tummy. Poor baby.
oh,
There
yes,
was a
we
little
just
boy
gotta pray for.
here. There was a little boy here that the mom sent the little girl to school with sticky notes. It had been a very like it had been months. And the notes said she was being held captive by her boyfriend. And then they come to the house and they find her little boy. Oh my God, he was so cute too. In the bottom of the freezer. And there was a big grave dug in the backyard. He was getting ready to bury him, so she finally took the chance to send the sticky note. But yet at the same
Oh,
time, she was still taking loving pictures with him on Valentine's Day up at the mountains and on trips. And it's like, wait, were you really held captive or not? Well, it came down to it is that he had kicked the boy in the stomach or hit him in the stomach, and the little boy got really sick. So he locked the little boy in the bedroom with him for 3 days and said he was going to
oh my,
make him better. And the little boy never made it. And so that's what it
oh,
kind of reminds me of because the way the West kids say how Oren got sick and his skin turned color and he was vomiting out of his nose, very similar to what this kid's symptoms were before and that was from abuse. So it makes you think, they could have took something, they could have been given something, or they could have just been abused to the point that they got ill.
right. That's sad.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Let's just pray
Yeah, so
for our children, boys. We gotta pray for them. Um,
yeah, I pray they find them and they can lay them to rest when this is all said and done.
right.
That's my biggest thing right
Okay.
now because I'm really not worried. I feel like the jury's gonna see this and they're gonna do the justice, for the boys. But the only thing I'm nervous
Yeah,
about is them being found.
they played the whole interview and They even added the, remember the part of the interview when the bio parent, the bio mom and family members, the aunt and everybody was yelling at
Mhm.
Trezell and Jacqueline, you were supposed
Yep.
to be there for my nephew. They played all of that and a little bit extra of it. The extra
Yeah.
part was when Al told them like, "Oh yeah, uh, we left them for Christmas in their grandmother's house, the rest of the kids, and they were with us." And he was trying to like explain it, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
yeah, we all know he's lying.
Yeah,
But
he's full of
anyway,
shit.
yeah, trial. Let's go watch
All
that because
right.
that started.
All right,
All
girl. I
right,
will talk to you later. And thank you everybody for joining us and discussing with us. If
thank you.
anybody has anything that we missed, just make and like if you're rewatching this or anything, just make a comment and we'll touch on it tomorrow or whatever.
Yeah, we'll catch up and talk tomorrow on everything else that's
Yeah.
going on today. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, have a great day, guys.
All right, everybody.
Justice classic all day. All right.
No, no
Bye.
justice, no peace.
Exactly.